The obsidian doors of the throne room parted with a hiss that echoed through the vaulted chamber. Seren Vale stepped inside, her boots making no sound against the polished stone floor. Around her, the air thrummed with barely contained violence. A predator's den, ancient and unforgiving. The Qatar Empire had ruled the outer spine for 3 millennia. Their throne room was a testament to conquest. Bones of fallen enemies adorned the walls, their skulls arranged in precise geometric patterns that spoke of both artistry and warning. Crystalline pillars stretched toward a ceiling lost in shadow, each one etched with the names of worlds that had knelt before the Empire's might. Seren had not come to kneel. She had come because Ambassador Thorn was dead, his delegation slaughtered in what the Qatar called an unfortunate incident during the Right of Claws. The human ambassador had made the mistake of speaking loudly, of demanding respect through volume and title. The Qatar did not respect noise. They respected presence. At the far end of the chamber, Emperor Varshak lounged upon his throne of twisted iron and bone. His form was massive, 3 meters of corded muscle covered in midnight blue scales that caught the amber light of suspended plasma orbs. His eyes, triple-lidded and golden, fixed upon Seren with the casual interest of a predator observing prey. But it was not the Emperor that drew Seren's attention. Scattered throughout the throne room, lounging on elevated platforms and nestled in shadows were the predator cubs, 37 of them, ranging from adolescent to nearly adult. These were not the Emperor's offspring alone, but the youth of the entire ruling bloodline. Princes, princesses, heirs, and spares. Each one was a weapon being forged, their every movement a study in controlled lethality. The Qatar tradition was ancient. When strangers entered the throne room, the cubs would choose their position. If they deemed the visitor prey, they would circle, drawing closer until the visitor's fear became palpable. If they deemed the visitor a rival predator, they would maintain distance, watching, waiting for weakness. If they deemed the visitor something else entirely, something worthy, they would kneel. No outsider had received that honor in 3 generations. Seren stood perfectly still, her hands loose at her sides. She wore no armor, carried no visible weapons. Her clothing was simple, dark trousers, a fitted jacket, and a single silver pin at her collar, the emblem of Earth's diplomatic corps. Her dark hair was pulled back from her face, revealing calm brown eyes that swept the room once, cataloging everything. Before settling on the Emperor, she did not speak. She did not bow. She simply existed, as still as the stone beneath her feet. The first cub moved. It was a young female, her scales still showing the lighter patterns of youth. She slipped from her perch with liquid grace, powerful haunches bunching as she approached. Her claws clicked softly against stone, a deliberate sound, a test. She circled to Seren's left, nostrils flaring as she scented the air. Seren's heartbeat did not quicken. Her breath did not change. She stood. A second cub descended, then a third. Soon a dozen young Qatar were prowling around the human, their movements a coordinated dance of implied threat. They moved closer, testing the boundaries of her space, looking for the telltale signs of fear, the quickening pulse at the throat, the tensing of muscles ready to flee, the scent of prey terror that all creatures exuded when facing their hunters. They found none of these things. Serene's stillness was not the frozen paralysis of fear. It was the quiet of deep water, of ancient mountains, of the vast silence between stars. It was the stillness that came not from the absence of strength, but from its perfect containment. The cubs began to hesitate. Emperor Varshak leaned forward, his triple-lidded eyes narrowing. In 3,000 years of tradition, he had never seen this. Prey broke. Rival predators postured. But this human did neither. She simply was, and in that being, she filled the room with a presence that made even his battle-scarred warriors shift uneasily at the chamber's edges. Then Tharn moved. The eldest of the cubs, nearly full-grown and scarred from countless training battles, descended from his position near the throne. His scales were the deep blue-black of his lineage, his eyes already showing the calculating intelligence that marked future emperors. He had tasted blood, led hunts, and killed challengers to his status. He approached Seren directly, towering over her smaller frame. At full height, he could tear her apart with a single swipe of his claws. Instead, he lowered his massive head, bringing his eyes level with hers. For a long moment, they regarded each other. Then, with a movement that sent shock rippling through the throne room, Tharn folded his legs and lowered himself to the ground. His head dipped, exposing the vulnerable spine at the back of his neck, the ultimate gesture of submission and respect among the Qatar. The throne room erupted in stunned silence. One by one, the other cubs followed. The young female who had circled first, the aggressive male who had been testing her flank, the smallest cub, barely past weaning, who nonetheless understood that something profound was occurring. They all knelt, their powerful forms folding in deference to the silent human who stood among them. 37 predator cubs, the future rulers of an empire that had conquered 100 worlds, knelt before Seren Vale. Emperor Varshak rose slowly from his throne, his expression unreadable. When he spoke, his voice was a deep rumble that vibrated through the chamber. The cubs have chosen. They see what we in our age had forgotten to look for. He descended the steps of his dais, his movements deliberate. Your ambassador came with words of alliance, human. He demanded our partnership as if it were a transaction. Seren finally spoke, her voice quiet but clear. Ambassador Thorn was a good man, but he did not understand your ways. I come not to demand, but to stand. The question of alliance is yours to answer, Emperor. But know this, humanity does not kneel to predators. We walk among them. A sound escaped Varshak's throat, something between a growl and a laugh. Yes, I see that now. He gestured to the kneeling cubs. They have marked you as pack leader, human. By our oldest laws, you have earned the right to speak for your kind in our halls. Seren inclined her head, the barest acknowledgement. Then let us speak of the future, Emperor. Not as prey and predator, but as hunters who have learned to respect the silence. Around her, the predator cubs remained kneeling, their choice made clear. In the ancient throne room of the Qatar Empire, a new understanding had been born, not through strength of arms or volume of voice, but through the quiet power of a human who knew that sometimes the most commanding presence was the one that needed no announcement. Seren Vale had not come to conquer. She had come to stand. And in standing, she had changed everything.